Next week, our elected representatives at Queen's Park sit for the final week of 2017, the last days before an election year begins. Already, we've seen Premier Kathleen Wynne doing town halls, Opposition Leader Patrick Brown launching the PC Party's platform, and NDP Leader Andrea Horwath hammering hard over hospital overcrowding. Joining us now for what they make of it all, Adrienne Batra. She is editor-in-chief of the Toronto Sun, and Martin Regcon, the Ontario politics columnist for the Toronto Star. And it's lovely to see you two back in those chairs here in our studio. Given that we have your two newspapers here, it seems only fair we read a little excerpt from the National Post to get started, just in the interest of being ecumenical here. Here's Kelly McParland saying the much-discussed Tory manifesto has generated a degree of perplexity. Normally, left-of-centre observers were pleasantly surprised at the shameless outpouring of subsidies and giveaways. More centrist writers noted the cynicism, or was it just practical politics, of a platform that out-liberals the Liberals. Those on the right chafed angrily at the blatant abandonment of conservative orthodoxy, even if it might finally offer a hope of victory after 15 years of abject failure. Adrienne, I want to go to you first because you tend to come at politics from a more conservative point of view, so I want your take on how your conservative sensibilities are faring after having read the People's Guarantee.
Well, I mean, obviously they don't have a lot of the things that we would say as a small c conservative principle, you know, like reducing the debt and you know, reducing some spending. But it's not an impractical document from a purely electoral perspective, because what they've seen over the last 4 successive elections is conservatives have lost. This is very much what we would say a red Tory document. It's practical. There's a pragmatism towards it, and this the folks that Patrick Brown has surrounded himself by, they understand how to win elections. And one of the reasons that I believe that they've sort of moved to the center, so to speak, is because that's where a vast majority of Ontario voters are.
But they reside in the center. Conservative, are you more disappointed?
Well, I mean,
yeah,
I have some questions about it, and I will question some of the numbers. But I, like so many conservatives, we're not going to vote for the NDP or the Liberals, so we can complain. Our vote will still likely be parked in Patrick Brown's camp.
I think some conservatives are wary of this MRC because you gave it a relatively glowing review when it came out, and the thinking is if Regcon likes it, then it can't be good. You want to help us understand this?
Well, it wasn't just glowing as much as recognizing that they've done some work, that they've put together. Adrienne and I have both brought our props today, yeah. But they've put together a magazine that is reasonably accessible, that has content, and I confess that I wasn't expecting it because Patrick Brown had been relatively circumspect, quiet on policy matters for the last year or two.
That's a nice way of saying he was the man with no plan, as the Liberals dubbed him.
And so he not only has now a plan, but it's a very comprehensive plan, far more than I expected. And it is far more progressive conservative than I had expected as well. Adrienne is being very kind in expressing her own perhaps surprise from another circle. It's not a left-wing document. It's almost a Marxist manifesto because it calls itself the People's Guarantee, and in the PC talking points and press releases, it's now described not as the conservative platform. I mean, what's a platform? It's the People's Guarantee. So it's very funny, it's very interesting, and very clever. And you know, some of their handlers or thinkers went to Indigo to look at magazines on the rack and see, well, how are they designed? And this is what they came up with, a magazine that's kind of catchy. Some, you were saying earlier, it looks like Men's Health.
Hold it up for the camera so we can see it.
There it is. We both got it.
Yeah. We can both do it together. So move that water.
It does have a kind of a, you know, if people know the magazine Men's Health, it has that kind of look to it.
It does, but it's also a document that's easily handed out, right? I mean, of course, it's all online. Of course, you can access everything, you know, on the web. But this is something. So Patrick Brown is doing his Get to Know Me tour for all intents and purposes. This is something that it can easily be given out. People are thumb through it, look through it, and it is got a little bit of flash to it. It has it's not a very boring, you know, typical looking, you know, platform, so to speak. So they clearly did a lot of work on it, a lot of research. I'm not quite sure about the manifesto part, you know, the Marxist manifesto, but I think it's about the branding that he's trying to convey to Ontarians, that I'm there for you, we are there for you, the people, whereas the Liberals have not been.
5 main points to the manifesto, as you'd like to call it, Martin. You know, everything from lowering electricity prices to subsidizing daycare fees to, and you know, a huge commitment to mental health. But the Liberals are saying, look at the fine print, that there are, in their judgment, $12 billion in spending cuts that are not enunciated in this plan. How much traction do you think they're getting with that criticism?
Not much. For one reason, it's a repeat of the previous critiques, scare tactics, whatever you want to call it, of PC platforms. And I think there was some more legitimacy in the last election when they attacked Tim Hudak's 100,000 job cuts, that there was a much more aggressive cutting. For example, Tim Hudak's platform called for a roughly 7% cut in government spending. This platform says it will search out roughly a 2% cut in government spending. Now, Liberals can say that's $6 billion that needs to be found, but it's on a budget of about $130 or $40 billion a year in spending.
So not impossible.
It's not crazy. It's not easy, especially if you decide you're going to put a firewall around healthcare and education, which most progressives tend to do. That means you have deeper cuts of much more than 2% in other areas. But it's still roughly a third or more than a third less than what Tim Hudak was talking about. So it's a third less scary, put it that way.
You know the Liberals, I mean, they've started already, and they will certainly for the next 6 months beat like a drum this notion that if you elect the Conservatives, these unspecified cuts are going to come to bite you, you know where.
Right, and they'll use the language that they always do, hidden agenda, you know, like they used against Stephen Harper. Well, everyone's still looking for Stephen Harper's hidden agenda because there was really not one. But the fact is, the 2% should not be very challenging to do in a $140+ billion budget.
But those themes were very effective in the last two provincial elections.
They were, except for the fact that this is that it's a narrative that I think that the Liberals have no moral authority to really bang anymore because the public has lost confidence in them. All they have to do is frankly look at one of the Auditor General's reports, and then the Tories can just point to this. We've wasted all these millions of dollars on empty buildings. They've wasted $17 million of your money on partisan advertising. I mean, there's ways to demonstrate and to counterpunch against that. Patrick Brown is going to need 3 or 4 of those top lines in order for people to remember, well, wait, the Liberals are saying this, but actually we believe that he's going to do this. So it's not impractical to find 2%, quite frankly.
Okay. Martin, let's move on and talk about what I think is a pretty interesting new strategy that the Liberals have advanced in the last couple of weeks. Kathleen Wynne in downtown Toronto a couple of weeks ago did a no-holds-barred town hall, took questions that were not pre-staged from the audience, got a lot of tough questions, particularly from college students who were very unhappy about the fact that the strike had gone on for so long. Next Wednesday in Brampton, she's going to do another one. Why is she doing these?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's the first question that she was asked by the moderator last time in Toronto. Why are you doing this? And the answer is, her answer was that I believe in democracy. I've been doing this all my life, and that's fair. She has roots as an activist. She's had town halls all the time. But this isn't a classic political town hall. You mentioned Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper had town halls. Tim Hudak had town halls.
Well, Stephen Harper's town halls were fixed.
Thank you. So they
Invitation only.
They were run by the party. This one, interestingly, is run by the government. Now, some might say, why should the government pay for this? Let's set that aside for a moment. When the government runs it, that means you cannot screen it, as you say. You cannot just have invitation only for certified supporters. And so it's quite a mixed bag. It's a grab bag. Now, why is she doing it, to your question? She's down in the polls, the Liberals are behind, so you could argue this is a chance. She has nothing to lose. Well, someone said that to her in the last event. There is something to lose. You could have a complete meltdown. You could have a complete hurricane, a tsunami of bad questions. And most of the questions were very hostile, quite hostile, or very challenging, let's say. Some were hostile.
How'd she handle herself in your view?
Very well. I think how that actually plays is another question. When you're pounded with negativity, it's hard to always come out on top. But questioner after questioner said, well, I admire what you're doing. I respect your bravery and courage in doing this. And I think objectively you have to give her that. And I think in many of her answers, she was quite persuasive. Many of the questions were very hard to answer. One man talked about how he had an amputation because of poor health care. How do you handle that? Well, she handled it pretty well. Does it help her? Maybe it's a character-building exercise, and maybe people will see it that way.
They certainly, the Liberals do, certainly like the way she performs in unscripted situations like this. They think it distinguishes her from the other candidates more effectively. What do you say?
Well, I do believe it's massively problematic that the taxpayers are paying for their potential re-election strategy. But the reason why they do this is because she's very good at it. She is affable. She is likable when she's in these one-on-one sorts of situations. And she's a very skilled politician. She's very skilled at answering those hostile questions that were given to her, and I think she did handle them very well. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that just have already checked out on the Liberal front, and they're not going to support them. But why not, at the very least, hear what the Premier, the current Premier of Ontario, has to say, and try to understand why they made the decisions in which they did. So, if you're a Liberal strategist and you're watching someone who has these skills and abilities, regardless of, take your poll, 9% or 14% popularity, you have nowhere to potentially go but up. And so the polls will tighten, and she has an ability and a skill that, frankly, the other two leaders don't.
You know that she would like to be getting questions on, Premier, describe the nature of your brilliance in bringing this pharmacare program forward. Or, Premier, tell us why you're so wonderful in, giving free post-secondary education to lower-income families. She didn't get I was going to say she didn't get a lot of questions. I don't think she got any questions like that. No. She got hit hard on a lot of stuff like the college strike and the healthcare question you got. So at the end of the day, in your view, a plus or a minus to the Premier's brand dealing with all these tough questions? Probably
a plus, more neutral to a plus. She has little to lose. As Martin's already said, one went okay. Who knows what could possibly happen at the next one, because you don't know what's going to happen in the news cycle that day. So if you cancel, then it looks bad. But again, she has an ability to handle some of that heat that's going to be thrown at her.
If she's going to Brampton next Wednesday, she's going to get some questions about hospital overcrowding coming. She better have a good answer for that, eh?
Hospital overcrowding, auto insurance, huge issue in Brampton as well. It's like being on the doorstep, though. When you look at the question and answer session, this is what politicians are commonly asked at the doorstep, and not necessarily at news conferences. It's healthcare, it's colleges, the news of the day. But the other problem with this event is that it's largely staked out by stakeholders. So a lot of interest groups come. So in a city of over 3 million people, 200 people were there, and most of the questions were from vested interest groups. That's not bad, but it's NGOs, there was a Tory group or a front group that was there with a prop asking questions. But you know what? There is a risk. You say there's no risk, for nothing to lose, but there is a risk, but there is a possible a significant return on investment. Not so much that she's going to get great press that day, but it keeps her nimble and avoids that rust that sets in when you are locked away in an office. So there's an election coming up. There are going to be more of these unscripted encounters. Remember, Christy Clark in BC had an unscripted encounter that she did not handle well, with and Elizabeth, that went viral.
Elizabeth the nurse, whoever that was, yeah.
And so this is a chance to stay sharp.
If you were at the town hall coming up next week and had the opportunity to be, because of course, 200 hands goes up and she has to pick one. Let's say she called on you. She said, okay, Adrian, ask a question. What do you want to know?
Why do you feel that you deserve to get reelected after every single public policy file your government has touched has literally been exploded? That's what my question would have been.
That's a bit of a loaded question.
But a little bit of a loaded question, yeah. Which she may have handled well regardless. But I think that there is a fair assessment of after 14 years of Liberal government in Ontario between McGuinty and now Wynne. There's still a desire for change, and people want to see something different. You do run out of ideas. You do get tired. You do get politically corrupt, as in some cases has happened with this government. So I think that if you are someone who is looking for yet another term, Kathleen Wynne and her strategists are sort of thinking to themselves, well, we can paint Patrick Brown as this whole scary guy, which I don't think will work this time. We can paint Andrea Horwath as someone who is just going to be a crazy socialist and spend all your money and bankrupt the province. But they've done that. They've put financial problems forward for many Ontarians to come. So I mean, it's a hard argument to make of why they should be reelected.
Okay. She calls on you. What's your question?
My first question would be, why did you ask Adrian that question? Why did you let Adrian pose that question?
Because he's a smart guy.
Okay, my second question to her would be, so Patrick Brown has now come out with this platform in which he has largely agreed to continue most of your ideas. And it's almost as if he is saying, thanks for your ideas on a minimum wage of $15, college tuition, childcare, and so on.
Pharmacare?
Pharmacare, we're going to keep that in place. So isn't there a risk that the Tories are going to say, thanks for your ideas? You said they're out of ideas. They actually have new ideas they're putting forward, and we'll take it from here. So how do you address that, Premier?
Interesting. Okay. Just for what it's worth, if she's as horrible as you clearly think she is, and her government is...
Policies have been.
Policies. How come the Tories are not 20 points up in the polls? They're only 5 or 6 up?
Because I think part of that is because a lot of people aren't necessarily paying attention right now. And, you know, we're going to the Christmas holiday season. All of these things are happening. I think once we get through that, come February, March, and Patrick Brown continues to do his tour, his Get to Know Me tour, and people are getting a little more focused on other things, that's when I think you'll see a change. But I also believe that the polls will tighten. This is notorious in Ontario. I mean, you see the Tories are sometimes 20, 25 points up, you know, months away from the election, and then all of a sudden, wow, it's 5 points. You know, there's a 5-point spread. So it's just a matter, I think, really, of the public is not as honed in on this as we would be.
Can you give me a comment on that as well, insofar as her personal numbers are not good? The party's numbers are actually relatively competitive. Why the difference?
Well, I think it's understood that Kathleen Wynne's popularity has tanked. It's not 9%. It hovers between 14 and 15 to 20%, which is bad. Far worse than a lot of politicians, discredited politicians in the U.S., for example. The governor of New Jersey had popularity numbers that were way higher, despite his bridge problems and so on. So their policies are actually relatively popular. Certainly the minimum wage, $15 minimum wage promise, which the Tories have now adopted, is popular. It's a disconnect, and it's a problem.
Just say, Martin, adopted, but are going to bring in over a longer period of time.
Slightly longer, yeah. They're going to keep it at 14 next year, and then take 4 more years to go up an extra $1. So it's hard to explain. Look, my brother, the doctor, when I have an ailment, he'll always say to me, 2 things can happen. It can either get better or it can get worse. And then after that,
you went to med school for that?
And after that, it can get better or it can get worse.
That's why our healthcare system's in trouble.
That's his way of not making predictions, as I don't. So as for the polls and the spread, you said that things can change when people focus in the election. And when that happens, that spread might continue to narrow. Yeah. And so we may see things change.
Okay, Chapter 3, the NDP. The leader, Andrea Horwath, was in Thunder Bay this week, and she had this to say about this. One of the things that we have seen is a decade of cuts to the hospital budgets, both through freezes and through below inflationary increases, Horwath said on Monday. Those 2 factors, she believes, have caused a, quote, huge crisis that hospitals are facing throughout the province. Horwath said an NDP government would put a moratorium on any further cuts to frontline staff, and we'll look at what hospitals require to provide the quality and speed of care needed. They have really, Adrian, been banging the drum on hospital overcrowding. Yeah. She has made this her issue. How much traction is it getting?
It will get some, but it seems to be that's the only real issue that Andrea Horwath can have left, because Patrick Brown's taken some, the Liberals have taken some on their drug plan, free drug plan for people under 25. Clearly, she feels that this is the area where Ontarians will hear her voice and hear what her government, her party has to say. It's very traditional territory for the NDP, of course. It's the effectiveness of it is the question. We just talked about the Premier going into Brampton, where hospital overcrowding is a huge issue. She'll get asked. But for Ms. Horwath, I'm actually very surprised that she doesn't get more of the traction that I think. She's very articulate. I think I don't necessarily agree with her policies, but you know, she lays them out well and in a thoughtful manner.
Polls show she's always the most likable of the 3.
Always the most likable, but you know, always hovering in the 2nd or 3rd place as the party. So you know, maybe this is an instance where the leader, the NDP leader, is more popular than her party's policies. But healthcare is a big issue. But we always talk about this as pundits. You know, that is this a vote getter? Is this the ballot question? For some people in the province, it may very well be, but I don't think it's going to be the one where they say, I have to vote for the NDP over a Liberal or a
She's
Tory.
Clearly planted her flag on healthcare. Do you think that's the right call?
It's a good call. In fairness to the NDP, they did this before Patrick Brown and Kathleen Wynne may have crowded her out on the political agenda. This is something that they staked out a couple of years ago and decided would be a major strategy, is to focus on healthcare. Partly it's, and I don't mean this in a political or pejorative way at all, partly it is fed or informed by the union movement. because you have the nurses unions and other caregivers unions that are on the front lines, front and center, and who are sharing and caring and keeping them informed on these issues.
And supporting the Liberals most of the time.
Largely, yeah, but I think that what I'm talking about is reconnaissance. I think they are using unions effectively as a source of information from all over the place. So I think we should give them credit for that. And you mentioned Thunder Bay, but Andrea Horwath has gone to London and Brampton and Windsor, Hamilton. I believe, and Hamilton, all over with local candidates. So this is nominated candidates. So this is a political strategy, but it's also legitimate public policy. That said, on the public policy front, it's a perennial, and not just for the NDP. The Progressive Conservative Party tore itself apart in the 1970s about hospital closing. Frank Miller, Dennis Timbrell, Larry Grossman. So this is not a new issue, and criticizing the government is fair ball. What's the remedy? Freezing cuts? Well, that sounds good, and it plays well in a community that is perhaps overrun. Brampton is a special case because there's massive population shifts in Brampton that don't happen elsewhere. But in Thunder Bay and London, you can't make that argument. So the government has responded by trying to reopen hospitals, create new spending, and so on. And that's kind of an old way to look at it, because what is causing this hospital overcrowding is bed blockers. It's people who are getting an alternate level of care, who really should be discharged and checked out and are stuck there. So maybe we need better community care, home care, long-term care, rather than more hospital beds.
Adrian, Martin, I think, is right when he says that sometimes the politics of hospital closures can be a significant issue and have an effect at the ballot box in a riding, like when they tried to close Doctors Hospital 40 years ago in downtown Toronto. Healthcare is rarely a province-wide ballot question, right? So if Horwath and the NDP have decided to make hospital overcrowding one of their key issues, but it may not be the ballot question.
Yeah.
What else do you think they ought to be focusing on that you think can move polls more towards their direction? They're not obviously going to champion tax cuts and the like, so
well, no, of course
where else
not.
should they go?
Well, I mean, but I think, for, again, traditional NDP supporters, they're there to champion for the little guy, the average worker and all of that. But, just quickly on the hospital closures, I mean, from the province of Saskatchewan, where I'm from, Grant Devine was premier, and then Roy Romano came in as the NDP premier and shut down 50 hospitals. So, I mean, and then won re-election after that, too. So, it depends on how the need is. But she needs to continue to talk about the hydro and the affordability. The affordability of Ontario, I think, is where she has the ability to be very thoughtful and relevant for the two main leaders, like as far as Brown and Wynne, who will suck up most of the airtime on the oxygen of the media and things like that. She can find her way there, and I also find it interesting where she has gone strategically across the province. They're looking for votes and support in areas where they may not necessarily have gotten them before, with language like, we are going to fight for you for hospitals, we're going to fight for you for affordability.
With 30 seconds to go here, is she squeezed out on both sides? I mean, now the Tories are for a carbon tax, the Liberals have got so much union support. Where do the NDP go? Well,
remember, in large parts of the province, notably the Southwest, it's really an NDP-Tory fight. So while there's less fear about duplicating the Liberals and more interest in trying to differentiate themselves from the Progressive Conservatives. So that's where they have to do it.
Gotcha. Adrian Batra, Toronto Sun, Martin Redcon, Toronto Star. Great to have you two at TVO tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.